what a difference a day makes. So the hatch, let's finish this. I think I got it figured out, boys and girls. So 24 hours, we let the glue dry. You can see the magnets are aligned properly. They grab really, really good, really strong magnets. So we put the hatch in. Again, a little bit of trimming to do to get this to line up with your tail. I can't give you measurements because everyone's a little bit different, but we just want the tiniest little gap. So I've kind of sanded it. I've got it fit. We're not going to glue this right away anyways. But let's see. If this was glued to the wing like it's going to be, look at that. Oh, she's held down pretty good. So that's not going anywhere in flight. The front, we got to leave a little bit of a gap. There's actually supposed to be a little notch here on the real one. We'll kind of emulate that. But we just got to leave enough of a gap so that we can do that. And that, it ain't coming off the front. That's not going to come out airflow. And again, this was super easy. Just line up the magnets. Whoops. And boom. So we're done with this. We're done with the canopy. We're going to set it aside because we're going to glue the wing on. And just so you know, I did have my battery. My battery was in there to test everything, make sure that all the spacing was good. Okay, so we still haven't glued the tail on. We don't want to do that. That'll be last. I think we're ready to glue the wing. In the other video, I already showed you my ailerons are now all glued up. You know, the little pull test, everything is good. The horns aren't on yet. This doubler, by the way, probably not required. I'm not going to bother 3D printing one, even though I did it. As long as you reinforce on the sides and the hatch can't fall in, however you do it. But this worked pretty good. We're not going to put the magnets there. And I can still get my fingers in here to change a battery, and that's probably the most important thing. So all of that is good. Now to get ready to glue, I've got my hot melt glue gun going. I want to tidy this up just a little bit more. But for the most part, you can see I have a piece of tape right here. This one has to go across. This one goes down. I was using Blenderum tape, which I know sticks to Depron. I have no concerns that this piece of tape is going to come off and get sucked in the motor. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to hot glue this and I smush it into the corner. That's the speed control. I don't need to service that. And one more thing I want you guys to do, just to protect yourselves for future proofing, is just take a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, and there's your center of gravity. Put one little hole somewhere around about here, all the way through. And the reason that we're doing that is I want to mark where this thing is on the inside. I mean, we could measure, it's not that big a deal. Because when you're hand launching the arrow, it's really kind of wide, and we might want to get our finger, we might make a finger hole. It's probably going to be about 1 inch back of the CG. So you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just put another hole right here, just a tiny little hole. What that is so that I know where to, if I'm going to go with a Dremel and mark it out, because if you stick your finger up in the model, it's easier to balance it if your finger's in there so you can hand launch. That's the idea. So other than doing this, then I'm going to button the wing up. I'm going to run my white clear Gorilla Glue. I'm going to put thin beads, you know, and don't forget this holds the wing on, and the wing is what's carrying all the weight. All the way down there, careful not to get glue there and there. Past the CAG. A little bit glue on the outside. Careful not to get glue on the doubler that we just made for our hatch. And then, when we're happy that everything is perfect, we line this up one more time, get our marks. And then I like, because Depron is so soft, I like to use weight to hold everything down. Something that's soft. I like using old batteries, but just be careful. They're heavy. So you know this is like a smaller one that might be in your charge kit. I might put that there. We don't want too much weight. We don't want to smush. There's that word again, smush anything. So I might do something like this, and then I'll leave it for a good 2 or 3 hours. Hey, it's supper time. I'll leave this for a good 2 or 3 hours, get the glue on. And then what happens next is once the wing is glued on, again, we don't want the canopy, we don't want the tail. Once we're happy that this joint is all glued up, Then we're going to flip her over like so. And this is why we leave everything off. Now I can put the control horns in, get my linkages all figured out without worrying about breaking tails off and all the other stuff. And man, like we are almost done this thing. All right, maybe one more video. So this is how I tidy up these things. I just put a little blob of glue down there, and I'll take this wire and literally, like I said, if you can see that in the video, can you see that? Zoom in on that. Right. So I put the wire in the hot melt glue and kind of hold it, hold it until it's ready to stay put, and that's it. If you want, you can smush that down too with a piece of tape. Let's do that. Let's go get a piece of tape. Aerodynamic drag inside that ducting area. You do kind of want it clean and tidy. What Mark built works, so I'm not going to criticize it because obviously it flies really, really well. The trade-off, if you wanted to make a whole bunch of, ducting in here and transitions and hide all the wires, that might be good. Okay, so there's my piece of blenderum tape, and it's going to go right where that finger hole is, which is why I wanted that. You see the mark for the finger hole? So I'm going to go to the left side of that so that if I take the Dremel in here, I don't cut that wire. And that's kind of important. So smush that down. So now I know if I do the Dremel for that little hole for my finger to throw it, I'm not going to accidentally hit a wire. And I would probably cut that very, very carefully. And then this wire is a little bit loose. Let's just tighten that up. Anyways, getting back to it. You can make all these little baffles and try to get the aerodynamics in your ducting more efficient. But the reality is you're also just adding more weight. And anytime you add weight, that's more lift you have to carry, more angle of attack. So you get into diminishing returns where, yeah, you're making aerodynamic improvements, but you're adding extra weight, which requires more thrust, which negates your aerodynamic improvements. The other thing, in case anybody doesn't remember, if you're Futaba, I know Spectrum, they run satellite receivers, but on a Futaba 2.4, I almost always have 2 antenna wires. And they're supposed to be, ideally for maximum, according to the manufacturer's instructions, your antenna wires are supposed to be in a Y. So this guy will sit here. We'll just put a piece of tape on him as well. They're in a Y. That gives you the maximum reception with the minimum amount of brownout spots or packet loss or whatever it is they call. So again, I'm using blenderum tape, which I know from years of experience, no matter how hot it gets, once I put this stuff in there, it will not come off. It won't fall off on its own. So I know that none of this stuff is going to get sucked into the fan. So if I'm happy with that, I'm happy with the servos. I'm happy. I've got the motor double checked. It's the right direction, because once you glue this wing on, getting back in here, oh boy, that's really tough. So take your time, think it through, make sure you got everything what you want inside here. We've marked, if we want to put that finger hole, a safe spot where we know we're not going to cut a wire or something. And then we're ready to glue it. Good stuff. Okay, one thing I kind of think I might have forgot to tell you, this where this Depron is, on mine it's underneath the packing tape, but if this green writing is over here and you go to clean this with alcohol, the alcohol will smear the ink with the Depron. You'll end up with a big green smush. So don't do that. But anyways, I cleaned all this. You can kind of see the glue. I've already tacked it once. That's good. The glue, I ran very light beads down the middle of all these joints on these ends. And I'm just double checking one more time because I'm about to do it for real. So everything is lined up once already. I can just smush that in there, lined it up at the front. Now, some glue squeezed out. Yuck. So we don't really care for that. I don't like that. Let's clean it up. And once again, whoops, methyl hydrate to the rescue. I just got it everywhere. So I really should be more careful. So that little bit of glue that smushed out right there, we'll just take it off. And again, don't get methyl hydrate on any painted surfaces. But this is where I'm going to be gluing the canopy, so we may as well give that a good wipe right now and get that excess glue off of there. So I put our cap back on the methyl, get that out of the way so we don't knock it over. Yeah, so This is for real for all the apples. Everything's lined up good. Let's just have a look underneath. Yeah, I don't see any issues there. So now I'm going to weigh this thing down for reals. I want to do it so that I can see that things aren't moving on me here. So we'll put those across there to spread the weight for that guy. And then we need to spread the weight back here. So let's see. Oh, that works pretty good. We'll just put this across here. So we spread the weight. And we'll just set ever so gentle. Yeah, it's not quite right. So how about like that? Perfect. Our alignment marks are perfect. It's aligned up at the front. Perfect. Maybe just a little more weight in the middle here. Yeah, I'll find something soft that has a little bit of weight. We don't need a lot of weight, you know, just a little bit is all we need. So let's see, we'll just do this and this. Oh, perfect. Maybe just a little bit of weight on top of there. Yeah, a roll of tape. There, a roll of tape. Good. I'm going to leave that for at least 3 hours. Don't even touch it. Don't look at it. I'll go do something else in the house. Because like I said, the next thing we got to do is control surfaces.